1 year ago, I made a video with my predictions on Diablo 4's second expansion. The new class, the new region, the release date, the title, and a bunch of other stuff, including endgame content. Now, a year later, we have most of the answers. So today, we're going to do the only fair thing. We're going to go back through those predictions, we're going to score them, and see how well they hold up today. Some of them aged pretty well, some of them... But more importantly, Blizzard's actual choices here give us a strong indication of the direction that Diablo 4 is heading in the future. So let's check the receipts. Now folks, if you're not up to speed on everything that's been revealed about Lord of Hatred, you can find my back catalog of videos on my website, Rhykker.com, which brings us to a word from this video's sponsor. I built my website using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself, quickly and easily, and with no education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Squarespace offers a ton of pre-made, professionally designed website templates for any kind of website. And they also have Blueprint AI, which is an AI-enhanced website builder to help you fully customize a beautiful-looking, personalized website made exactly for your needs and your unique identity. Squarespace even has optimized SEO tools so that you can launch your website and start getting views as quickly as possible through search engine traffic, plus analytics to then review where your traffic's coming from. You can also sell products or services, with Squarespace providing everything you need to engage customers, from easy online payment methods to built-in tools for inventory shipping and fulfillment. And that includes custom merch. You just send in your designs and Squarespace handles the rest. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description to start your free trial and use code Rhykker to get 10% off your first purchase of website or domain when you're ready to launch. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Rhykker. So as we move into things now, some rules about my scoring. I'm going to give each prediction either 2 points for a correct prediction, 1 point for a partially correct prediction, or 0 points when I'm flat out wrong. We'll keep a running tally and see how well we did by the end. But again, folks, the point of this exercise isn't just self-scoring, it's also what Blizzard's actual decisions reveal. So first off, new class, here's what I said then. I am 99% sure that the new class is going to be something like a Paladin, the Holy Warrior with a shield. And Paladin is exactly what we got. But then we also got a Warlock. Who could have predicted 2 new classes? Diablo 3's 1 expansion added 1 new class. Diablo 4's first expansion added 1 new class. All logic dictated that we were going to get 1 new class. Getting 2, that was a huge surprise. But also, now expectations are set. If we get more expansions, we're going to expect 2 classes. I'm going to give myself a 1.5 out of 2 there. I don't think tossing in a Warlock quite deserves to knock me all the way down to just a 1 out of 2. So that prediction was pretty much on point. Now, another thing that getting the Paladin and the Warlock tells us is we're never getting an Amazon in Diablo 4, because we are going to the home of the Amazons and we're not getting an Amazon. And that takes us to our next prediction, the region. We're going to be sailing west, in my opinion, to the western continent, to the region known as Honduras. Well, I was totally wrong there. That's a big ol' 0 out of 2. But I do believe my logic was pretty solid, and I do believe it would have been impossible to predict that we were going to Skovos. Hear the rest of my reasoning here. That would also leave the northern half with Mount Ariat and the Dreadlands as stuff for future expansions. The next expansion could do the rest of that continent, and then that still leaves us with the Skovos Isles to the south and Shansai to the north. The Skovos Isles being where the Amazons are from and Shansai being where the wizards are from. Now, it's possible we'll actually get to visit Shansai in expansion 2. Now that Akarat is back, in a way, it is possible he's going to go on a pit stop to Shansai, and Shansai is certainly too small of a region to have its own expansion. Skovos is literally the last place I thought we would be going in expansion 2. Based on the old maps of Sanctuary, Skovos is tiny. Shansai is tiny. You can't get an expansion's worth of zone out of it, so it made sense to group it up with a different region, maybe group Shansai and Skovos together. And if I had to pick between Skovos and Shansai, I would have thought Shansai, because in lore material leading up to Vessel of Hatred, they spoke about Shansai and how Akarat was from Shansai, and now Mephisto has possessed the body of Akarat, so all the signs pointed to everything other than Skovos. But in selecting Skovos, what Blizzard has shown us, and what we can learn now, is that the maps are mutable. In other words, these maps are not Google Earth satellite images. They were drawn by human beings, and human beings are fallible. You go look at old maps of the real world, drawn by cartographers of ancient times, and they are scuffed, especially for regions that they're not well familiar with. So Skavos is now a larger landmass than it was depicted on these past world maps, which also means that Shansai could potentially be a larger landmass. All right, next let's look at some of the features that I predicted. Set items. I think set items are a likely feature to return in the expansion. My only hesitation to feeling confident in set items coming is that Diablo 4's itemization is getting quite full, and I'm not sure that there is enough design space for set items. So I think if they can find an appropriate design space for set items, then they're going to come in. So that's exactly what happened. We're getting set items, and my exact concern there about itemization being too crowded for set items resulted in them adding set items in a way that doesn't crowd our existing item slots. They've given us a separate inventory, right? The talisman via charms is how they are implementing set items. So full points for that one. And what this really means here is Blizzard waited for so many years to put set items into the game, despite it being a pretty commonly requested feature, because they didn't want to just slap them in and screw up itemization. They really wanted to get set items right. And this ties into their greater methodology that we've seen, that they would rather hold off on releasing things like leaderboards and instead ensure that they are going to release them right, as opposed to just put them in and fix them later. So what this could be is, if there will continue to be big features that we request, it could take a while before they come around, but it doesn't mean they're not working on them. It doesn't mean they've abandoned them. It just means that Blizzard might sometimes work at a glacial pace. Next feature prediction. I think we're going to get a new type of mount added, and I think it's going to be direwolves. Well, partial credit there. We're getting a new mount. It is not direwolves. It's some kind of dinosaur from Skavos, but my prediction was based on going to Westmarch, where direwolves are a thing. So being wrong with the region meant I was wrong with the mount as well. But what this does tell us is we now have established a pattern between Vessel of Hatred and Lord of Hatred that, yes, we get a new mount, and yes, that new mount is somehow tied to the new region. Next prediction, let's go. I think we're probably going to get some kind of new endgame mode. Maybe it'll be something wave-based, similar to Echoing Nightmares in Diablo 3. I forgot I predicted that. We're getting exactly that. I forgot I predicted that. Full points. I think every class will get a couple new skills, new passives, new Paragon boards. Well, we're getting skill trees 2.0, so we're not getting new passives, because passives don't exist anymore. Are we getting new skills? Yeah, probably. I mean, their skills are getting fundamentally reworked. No indication we're getting new Paragon boards, so I can maybe I'll give myself half a point here, all right, to balance out the Paladin 1.5. We'll do half a point here. I think getting the skill tree 2.0 shows that Blizzard is still willing to make massive, enormous structural changes to better this game. I cannot overestimate how much this skill tree rework is gonna change the meta of the game. I think the level cap will be raised to 70. Maybe not the biggest surprise, but full points there. I mean, in fairness, with Vessel of Hatred, we didn't have the level cap raised to 60, right? They did the entire rework of the game with Vessel of Hatred to change it from the max level being 100 to now being a max level of 60. So now that we see we get another 10 levels with Lord of Hatred, if we get any future expansions for Diablo 4, it's safe to assume we're going to get another 10 levels every time. And I think we might even get some new clan features. Nope, no indication of that. Big fat 0 for me. And what this tells us, and unless Blizzard's holding out, what this tells us is that clan features are really not something that's a priority for Blizzard. Would have been nice to see clan housing, any number of things for additional clan support, but looks like clans are never going to turn into something more than just a neat little name tag and a private chat with your buddies. All right, now let's talk about release date and reveals and all that. Here's what I predicted. I think we're going to get the full reveal this summer, either at Microsoft's Xbox show or later in the summer at Gamescom. I think those are going to be one of the two places that Blizzard's going to do the full unveiling. Well, that was fully wrong. They ended up doing the full reveal months later, not in summer at all, but in winter at the Game Awards in December. But now let's look at the exact release date I predicted. So maybe we can go with a February 11th release date. At that point, we'll be roughly around Season 11. They might push it to Season 12 if they don't want to cut Season 11 too short, which could maybe push us as far as April, but I doubt that. That's partial credit there. That's pretty darn close. We have an actual release date of April 28th. Now, part of the reason for my predictions was based on the timing of what came before. So what we're actually seeing was a quite shorter window between reveal and release, shorter than we've seen before. Not as much lead up time. It's only a few short months between December and April. I was predicting that we would get the summer reveal and then still, February, April release. So what this tells us is that Blizzard's been changing up their strategy with regards to how they do their releases. I mean, we've also had 2 shadow drops happen now. The shadow drop of the Paladin and the shadow drop of the freaking Reign of the Warlock pack. This is not standard Blizzard. All the rules are being thrown out the window. I feel like the shadow drop with the Paladin was very successful for them. I feel like the shadow drop with the Reign of the Warlock was very successful for them. So going forward, I'm going to expect more shadow drops, more short marketing periods between reveal and release. I'm just going to expect in general more from Blizzard of, here's this cool thing and you can play it right now. So whatever major thing is going to be announced at BlizzCon, it's possible it'll already be playable. All right, now we're going to move into some more narrative predictions, and we won't be able to score some of these just because we don't know the full story yet, but these are some of the major points. So first off, I thought that this is what Mephisto would be up to. He's going to be going west, perhaps to corrupt, or try to corrupt, the Templar Order. Who knows? So I believe religion and faith in the light and faith in Akarat is all going to be a big part of the story. Well, Mephisto is going west. Obviously he's going west, there's no other direction to go, so I'm not going to give myself points for that. But he's going to Skovos. Is it going to be tied to religion or not? We don't know. We know that they've added this new lore to Skovos about it being the place of the original civilization of Nephilim on Sanctuary, basically the cradle of life. This is where Lilith and Anarius and their harem basically came to settle. I think we're going to see Tyrael make an appearance. I think Tyrael will likely be a significant part of the story. Is he going to die? I don't know, but I think we're going to see him. I think angels are going to come into the picture somehow. This is another one that we can't score. We don't yet know. We don't have confirmation that Tyrael is appearing or any other angel, but you also, can't prove a negative. Maybe they'll appear. In fact, one could even say that there's a stronger argument now for Tyrael appearing because we know that Tyrael went off somewhere. And we know that in the past, there was a Horadric vault placed on Skovos. The Horadrim went to Skovos. Blizzard recently released a new novel about that. So there's that stronger tie-in of the Horadrim, Skovos. Perhaps that's where Tyrael went. Maybe Lorath even went after him. Maybe we'll run into both of them. And speaking of us being the vessel of hatred, I do believe that is going to play into our ability to defeat Mephisto. Again, he is giga-powered now, and we're just some schmuck. But we were seeing signs in the story of Vessel of Hatred of us, coughing up and whatever, struggling with whatever's inside of us. Lilith's essence is doing something within us, and I think she wants revenge against her Poppy here. We do have explicit confirmation that Lilith will be part of the story, that Lilith will be helping us take on Mephisto, so we're going to give ourselves points for that. We don't know exactly what shape this will take, and that ties into the rest of my prediction. I don't think Lilith herself will come back. I think if she would, that would completely undermine the wonderful story of the base campaign, which I adored. Her death would effectively be meaningless if she just respawned now. But manifesting in some way, be it as a vision or as just a power within us to overcome Mephisto, I think is an acceptable way for Lilith or her essence to somehow be brought back into the story. So TBD on whether this holds true or not. I certainly hope it holds true. Please don't bring back Lilith like she's just respawned and it's okay and she's just walking around and either we have to kill her again or now another evil is on the loose and it's something to deal with. Now next, I made a Hail Mary play title prediction. And I felt Vessel of Hatred was the most clever subtitle for a Diablo game yet because it worked on multiple levels. So this was the first thing I said. We're not going to call it Lord of Hatred because we just said Vessel of Hatred. Whoops. Diablo 4, Herald of Darkness. So now that we are back to the Lord of such and such nomenclature, if we are to get a third expansion in which we are going to defeat Diablo, it's going to be Diablo 4, Lord of Terror. And I actually don't think that we would get a Diablo 4 Lord of Destruction. Even if we do fight Baal, I think they're going to group Baal and Diablo into the same one and call it, or heck, maybe even Hell. We can say Hell, guys, it's okay. They might even group Baal into this one with Mephisto. I don't know. Or maybe just Baal won't be involved at all. But I don't see them doing another expansion called Lord of Destruction, because it's going to get too confusing with, oh, when you're talking about Lord of Destruction, are you referring to D2 Lord of Destruction or D4 Lord of Destruction? Even though the nomenclature of Lord of Hatred is similar to Lord of Destruction, it's distinct enough that no one's going to confuse them. Whereas I confuse Vessel of Hatred and Lord of Hatred incessantly. But I do think, let's throw in a new prediction here, that Expansion 3 is when we defeat Diablo. He's going to be teased at the end of Lord of Hatred, maybe he's going to come out, and Expansion 3 is when Lord of Terror, we defeat Diablo finally. So overall, folks, final score of 12 out of 24, which sounds dismal, but honestly, talking about predictions, to say we're even half right is pretty nice. And of the 12 specific predictions made, to have 8 out of 12 of them be at least partially correct, I'm happy with that score. But again, folks, the more interesting thing is seeing what the actual choices say about Diablo 4's future, the direction that Blizzard's going in, because now we can better inform our future predictions based on seeing what Blizzard is actually prioritizing, actually deciding, and the new directions and the new pivots that they're making. Now, folks, I want to hear from you. Which prediction surprised you the most? And what do you think Blizzard's Lord of Hatred choices tell us about the direction of Diablo? Sound off in the comments. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join Rhyker's Raiders for more Diablo content.